Now let's also take a look at the second precept, which is the precept of no stealing. The precept of no stealing, put simply, means not to violate other people's property and trust in the integrity of the world. To give you a very simple definition, it means stealing means taking things that do not belong to you, or taking things without the owner's permission, or sometimes when you borrow something from someone but you do not return it, and borrowing without return will also result in the act of stealing. And also, even if you do return this item which you have borrowed but in a damaged state, perhaps it would also result in the violation of this very particular precept, the precept of no stealing. Contrary to the definition of stealing would be when we are enjoying property that belongs to the public. For example, when we go out to enjoy the sunlight, or when we go to take a walk in the park, and when we simply breathe, or when we enjoy the great nature of Earth. When we do this, we do not violate the precept of stealing, because we are not taking anything for our own benefits. In fact, these are something which everybody in the public are entitled to enjoy. Nevertheless, for the parajika precept of stealing to be violated, it means for someone to steal something of a paltry value. Let's put it that way. And you may wonder what paltry value actually means. An example would be when you steal something with the value of over, say, about $400. And then when you do this, you'll be violating the parajika precept of no stealing. And then you may wonder, what about those things less than paltry value? For example, for someone to go into work and take office stationery, or even use things without asking for permission. And then, would these be still considered acts of stealing? Yes, they would. But although they're not considered a violation of the parajika precept of stealing, these acts are still regarded as impure behavior. And therefore, that's why we can see that stealing is the hardest precept to keep. It is the hardest precept to observe out of all 5, because all of us are often tempted to take things or hold on to things which do not belong to us. For example, you may borrow a book from your friend, and then you do not return it. You may think it's okay because, say your friend may have forgotten about lending you this book, so you keep it. But this is not right. Or there may be times when you go traveling and you stay at a hotel and you take the hotel's towels for yourself. Or sometimes there may be even people who use company phone for their own purposes. All of these are considered improper behavior. But at the same time, we understand that these are things we are most likely to be tempted to conduct. And that's why the precept of no stealing is a very, very hard one to observe. But if we were to realize that for a sage, he will be the one who never clings on to anything, and therefore nothing will ever cling on to him. On the other hand, as ordinary people, we cling to everything. And as a result, we're bound to our delusions by both our karma and greed. And now let's take a look at the effects of stealing. Basically, one effect of stealing will result in rebirth in one of the 3 lower realms, or sometimes people refer to them as the 3 evil realms. And what are they? They will be the realms of animals, hell, and hungry ghosts. In other words, that when you conduct the act of killing, a possible effect and karma will be to result in your rebirth within one of these 3 lower realms. And another effect of stealing is that even if the severity is not strong enough to cause you to become reborn in these 3 evil realms, you will still most likely be reborn as a poor human being because of what you have done. Therefore, these are some of the effects of stealing. And now let's look at the 3rd precept, which is the precept of no sexual misconduct. No sexual misconduct can be simply defined as violating other people's rights to a good name and happy family. In other words, sexual misconduct refers to any sexual behavior that violates the laws and mores of society. Some of the examples would be as followed: having an affair, incest, bigamy, prostitution, rape, trading sex for money or favors, or engaging in sexual activities that arouse unreasonable emotions. What do I mean by this? These are the emotions that may spring from greed, anger, or ignorance. And so this is the basic definition of no sexual misconduct. Some may wonder why having an affair is so closely related to this particular precept. We have to understand that once somebody has an affair, and it will put a threat on the happiness of a family, because you involve someone else, but at the same time, you put the happiness of your family at risk. And there is even the possibility that your family may fall apart just because you are having an affair. And that's why it is a very important aspect of this particular precept. And now the 4th precept is the precept of no lying. No lying. If we were to look at the word lying, it means violating the trust of people and cause doubt in their own intuitions. And therefore, lying would be a waste of time and energy. And while it is a waste of time and energy, it would also cause a great kind of harm. And now, a very simple definition of no lying can be explained through the following: deceit, duplicity, forgery, distortion, presentation of misinformation, and slander. So if anyone conducts any of the above, they will be violating the precept of no lying. Now, there are 2 kinds of lies here. And the first one means lies of commission. In other words, it's an outright lie. You just lie. You lie about things that you know of, but you cause confusion in other people through your lies. And the second type of lie is what we mean by lies of omission. This means when you are withholding information to deceive someone. For example, you do know about something, yet you lie to people that you do not know anything about it. So although you do not directly tell a lie about what you have seen or known, you are still causing confusion in people by not providing the direct truth. Therefore, it is still considered a type of lie. And after these 2 kinds of lies, we can take a step further and divide it into 3 categories. And the first category of lying would be what we call great lies. You make one such a lie when you lie about being enlightened, when you're in fact not. Or when you lie about you having psychic power, when you in fact do not. And if you make such great lies, you will be violating the precept of no lying. Because when you lie about you having attained enlightenment or supernatural power, it will cause greater confusion in people. And it may even cause greater harm in those people because you have misguided them. And that's why we call it a great lie, or the Parajika precept of no lying. Therefore, this is a very serious conduct within the 5 precepts. And as for the second category of lying, we have less serious lies. And this refers to when you lie about things that you have seen, yet you tell people you haven't seen it. You saw something happen, and when people asked you, although you know about the happenings, you still tell them that, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. And so you're not guiding them towards the truth or the fact. Therefore, in a way, you are also conducting a lie, but of course, of less serious severity. And secondly, when you lie about having seen something which you in fact haven't, this is still the same. You're still making a less serious lie. And thirdly, when you confuse people between what is real and what is false. For example, if you know something that is real, yet you tell them that it is false, or vice versa. When it's false, you tell them that certain thing or matter is real, and then you will also be making a lie, a less serious lie. And now the third category of lie is what we call lies of convenience. For example, these are lies when you make out of the intention of protecting somebody. For example, when you lie to a terminally ill patient, you may make a lie and tell them that they're okay because you're afraid that they may break down from the news that they are terminally ill. And in this case, you have made a lie of convenience. Another example would be when you visit a friend, and if a friend asks you, have you eaten yet? And of course, when they ask this, what they mean is that if you haven't eaten, let me prepare some food for you. Although you in fact haven't eaten, you wish to save them the trouble. Therefore, as a result, you lie by telling them that you have eaten when you in fact haven't. And when this happens, you're also making a lie of convenience. And so from the 3 categories of lies, the severity of each will also be different. And we must also realize that the intention behind these lies are very important. And let's go back to the 3rd category, which is the lie of convenience. Once again, we'll realize that a lie that does more good than harm will less likely become a violation of the precept of lying. So once again, it's all about your intentions. But of course, you cannot go around thinking that I'm lying out of good intentions all the time, so it is okay for you to lie. It still doesn't work that way. And now what happens if you lie? There are a few effects to lying. For example, if you lie, nobody will trust you, and you will be of no help to anyone. Or if you lie, sometimes you could even cause harm onto yourself. And as we have said before, if you lie, it becomes a waste of energy. And it is also a waste of time on keeping an illusion that we know is not true. And furthermore, if you lie, it would decrease your capacity or ability to function effectively in the world, because people have lost their trust in you. You have lost your credibility. Therefore, anything that you do or say will not be taken in by people seriously. And when that happens, you are less likely to get anything important done. And another effect of lying will be that your ability to absorb the truth of Buddhism is lessened. Why? Because as you continue to cause confusion in other people, this confusion will also stay within your own mind, and that will lessen your ability to perceive the truth as it is. And also, according to the Buddhist sutras, one of the effects of lying will be bad breath. And the other would be that the devas, or the protectors of Dharma, will refuse to protect you. And furthermore, no one will trust you even when you're telling the truth. What's even worse, the sutra goes on to tell you that by lying, you will lose virtuous company. You will lose friends who would do good to you. And furthermore, you will always be anxious, and you will have planted seeds of bad reputation. You could also result in rebirth in hell, and you will also be slandered often.